We'd like to welcome you to our current event and weekly Bible study for April 7th, 2015. And kind of a little bit of a late start, wanted to get a study done on Sunday, but just with the ministry and all that it entails, I'm going to have to kind of roll with the punches probably from now on and get teachings up when I can get them up. And but it's an interesting study today. A lot of different things that we're going to be looking at, a lot of different subjects. Probably really, we'll just probably go through these one by one. And if you want, and if you like, you can follow along on the PDF that I put up with each teaching. Every time I put up a teaching at contendingfortruth.com. This would be the PDF for April 7th, 2015. So without further ado, this is about an 18-page PDF we're looking at here. Just some Bible verses to kind of start things off. So much negativity and overwhelming dark news that it's very important, I think, to really be in the Word and ground yourself in the Word. And if you really feel like you're getting down, like it's overwhelming, Psalms is always a really good place, to kind of plant yourself. I've noticed in the darkest days that I ever went through in the past, that's kind of where I was led for quite a long time. And so just some Bible verses, Psalm 62, verse 5 through 8. It says, "My soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him." So that's kind of really the boat we're all in, particularly in the dark days that we're facing. Waiting upon God and having our expectation. Our expectation is from him. The Bible says, "Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and then maketh flesh his arm, and his heart departeth from the Lord." Jeremiah 17:5. So we don't want to put our trust in man, and our expectation and our hope needs to be in the Lord Jesus Christ and from him and relying on him for everything. And then the next verse it says, he only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. In God is my salvation and my glory. The rock of my strength and my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times. Ye people, pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Selah, meaning reflect deeply on what was just said, essentially. So just some good kind of positive verses to kind of set the tone for today. A lot of information, kind of typical, just insane information, overwhelming information, dark information, but also things that it's good to be aware of regarding Satan's devices, lest he get an advantage of us and that we're not destroyed for lack of knowledge, as according to Hosea 4:6 talks about. So this one, I thought this was a joke when I saw it. But it's not a joke. It's a new video. A new Obama administration program is flying illegal alien children to the U.S. so that they don't have to make the trek on foot. And you, the American taxpayer, get to pay for it. Okay, so millions of illegal alien children from Central America will qualify for this program. And once they arrive in the U.S., the illegal alien children and the families will qualify for free education, food stamps, medical expenses, and living expenses. The whole enchilada. No pun intended. Anyway, better yet, when State Department spokesman Marie Harf was asked about the cost of the program, she answered, "The price tag? I don't know." End of quote. So it's open-ended. It's like a checkbook with no... Just like they print money out of thin air. Well, of course there's no price tag for this. This is illegal aliens we're talking about. They have way more rights than a legal American should ever have. I mean, come on. Let's get with the program here. We're all scum and slime compared to illegal aliens they're bringing in. Now, I understand in God's eyes, there's no difference in souls, okay? God looks at the children of men. But I'm talking about from a legal and illegal standpoint here, okay? I mean, this is beyond insane. And so this report was on Breaking Live on Fox News. Here's the lady on Fox News talking.
Millions of illegal immigrants will be able to fly their children to the U.S.
I couldn't tell if she said billions or millions. Let it be billions. Come on. Come one, come all.
Paid for by taxpayers. The controversial program, we are told, would allow the children to have access to various public benefits. Peter Ducey has the details.
You notice they've been playing the children card for a long time now, ever since they really opened up the borders, and it was all about the children coming through. When the actually was proven that it wasn't so much the children but the gang members and the ones that were soon to be gang members that were recruited straight into the most horrific Central American and Mexican gangs. Once they got here, if they weren't gang members when they got to the border, they were by the time they got to the processing centers. And this is all by design. So they always play the children card because, to play on everyone's sympathies.
Immigrant children from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador walking into the U.S. is so 2014. Now they get to fly for free.
When you look at this program, you have to wonder why.
Now, I really hope they have torn out every single seat on every one of these jet airliners so that they're all first class. No coach here. No way. If my taxpayers are footing this bill, I want these illegal alien children to come here first class, okay? Champagne, the whole mimosas, I don't know, something. Steak tartare, caviar, pheasant under glass. I'm talking everything. Lobster thermidor, beluga caviar, the red, not the black. Okay, everything. Pulling out all the stops. The butler, the limousine ride, the whole 9 yards. The white glove treatment. Horse-drawn carriage. I mean everything. Okay? Staying at the Ritz, 5-star hotels.
Is there a border anyway?
That's right. A new State Department and DHS venture seeks to stop the surge of unaccompanied kids at the southern border and reunite families by letting parents who have any kind of legal status apply to have their kids picked up in Central America and put...
Any kind of legal status? Any kind. Illegal status? Legal. I mean, any kind of... they don't obviously consider illegal aliens illegal, so they're all legal. Are we sending them back home? No, we're not doing that. We're bringing them in. We're opening up the borders. We're laying off the border patrol. They've done everything they could do to let them in. So there'll be nobody that'll be denied for this.
On a plane without paying a penny. Judicial Watch points out once these kids arrive, taxpayers also pick up the tab for education, food stamps, medical care, and living expenses.
I can't believe they actually got a news report where they're actually openly admitting to this. Typically, this would be something they probably went to them afterward and said, "What? Whoa! This is the kind of stuff we want to kind of suppress here, But no. Let's just get it right out in the open. I guess at least it's halfway honest what they're doing. I think. Of course, it's probably even far worse than we're even portraying it.
This program, would be, quote, refugees. And refugees have access to government benefits that other illegal aliens don't.
The State Department says this is a safe, legal, and orderly alternative to the dangerous journey that some children are currently undertaking to the United States. And for that reason, the program has some support.
I think it's more humane and a good policy to make sure these children are not going to die being in such an unsafe...
Imagine this. He's a Democratic strategist. Why does it just call themselves Kingdom of Satan strategist? Okay, because every single time when you have a Democrat, now granted, I understand Democrat, Republican, in the end, it's all two same sides of the same wicked coin. But I'm talking about what, from a morality standpoint, what the Democrats stand for. Pro-abortion, pro-homosexuality, anything really totally overtly evil, they're going to be for. And have some, warped justification for their stance.
But others are worried about starting a system that ignores people attempting to immigrate the traditional way by waiting in line.
My gosh, what does the rule of law mean if you break the law to get here and then you get the government to help bring the rest of your family?
How much will all this cost? Good question.
The price tag? I don't know.
But
I don't know.
If she doesn't know, we won't know until the.
She was like the main person for the, I think, the Obama administration that was taking questions. That was State Department spokesperson Marie Harf. That was when she was asked about the cost of the program. Price tag? I don't know. Well, that's great. I'm glad you've got a good game plan, and it's solid. And no, it's just an open-ended checkbook, and legal people will be scrutinized and taxed to death. And I mean, jobs that have just absolutely totally vanished, all by design. They're going to be the ones. See, remember, like I've said, it's very, very important for the New World Order to create an ultra slave class and an ultra elite. They do not like this middle class. Okay, they want you to be totally dependent upon the government for everything. These illegal aliens are made to order for that because they're going to be totally dependent on the government. And why not? Hey, they can come over here and get a free everything. So why wouldn't they take advantage of it? I'm not saying that's right from a biblical morality standpoint, but that's pretty much what they're doing in droves. I guess, they don't have a problem with it conscious-wise, so hey. Now, just to reiterate this, this is another report from judicialwatch.org, and it's entitled DHS Launches Family Reunification Refugee Program for Central Americans. So in other words, they create the problem by totally opening up the border, okay? Announcing it ahead of time, as I got into in other studies. Literally sending people down there to let U.S. representatives, and I don't mean representative in like Congress, but people that represented the U.S. to let them know that the borders are going to basically be open up. And hey, if you get in by this date, you'll be able to get grandfathered in or whatever. And then you'll be able to call up your family and have them all come up illegally as well. That was a big reason there was that mass exodus that we had reported on not so many months ago. So this is the part 2 of that. Okay? This is all the things they've done by design to destroy this country. So to facilitate the often treacherous process of entering the United States illegally through the southern border, the Obama administration is offering free transportation from 3 Central American countries, and again, it's on a jet airlines. I mean, first class all the way, and special refugee parole program with resettlement assistance and permanent residency. And again, is there any other country on the planet you could do this? Try doing it to Mexico. You will be in jail. You'll be in one of their high-class, nifty-neato Mexican death jails. And they're fun. I mean, I've seen some documentaries on them, the Central American jails. They're wonderful. These places are like the Taj Mahal. I mean, they're first class all the way. I mean, they are some of the most dangerous, horrific jails you could possibly ever imagine. But you try to do what they do here, and you get thrown in jail, as you should be thrown in jail. You're trying to enter the country illegally and stay there illegally as an illegal citizen. But you do it here, and you're 100% red carpet, rolled out. Hey, we're going to even send the jet planes for you now. As it should be. This is righteousness. This is calling good evil and evil good. This is just the way that the Bible, I guess, pretty much predicted it was going to be. Evil men and seducers waxing worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. And so I guess this is what we're to expect. It's just, this is just kind of a hard pill for me to swallow, reading all this. Under the new initiative, the administration has rebranded the official name it originally assigned to the droves of illegal aliens who continue sneaking into the U.S. They're no longer known as these are the children. Now remember, they're children. They're literally all toddlers being pushed in little baby buggies with babas and binkies and little mobiles and toys and stuff and teddy bears. These are the ones they want you to visit, because who would turn them away? And again, that's this whole imaging that they're trying to cram into people's heads about, oh, what kind of monster are you that would separate the families like this, when all of this was done premeditated by design and encouraged by our government, knowing that they were going to play on the heartstrings of people when this time came, when they could really bring in the rest of the fam to come into America. Because what kind of animal, what kind of disgusting, despicable pig would dare split up a family like this? Well, not me. Not me. Not I. I'm buying into this hook, line, and sinker. I don't know about any of you, but I'm buying into this now. What kind of animal am I? So, under the new initiative, the administration has rebranded the official name originally signed to droves of illegal aliens. Now they're known as unaccompanied alien children now. Surprised they'd even use alien. Unaccompanied alien children, or UACs, a term that evidently was offensive. Oh, I'm sorry, they're no longer known as that. I was going to say, they're no longer known as unaccompanied alien children. A term that evidently wasn't politically correct enough and offensive for the powerful open borders movement that, is obviously based in biblical Christianity. The new arrivals will be officially known as Central American Minors, or CAM. They will be eligible for a special refugee parole that offers a free one-way flight to the U.S. See, you can't even go back if you wanted to. No, you're here in America now. You're staying here. We want as many as we can get, and you're not going anywhere, young man or young lady. You stay here. So these are free one-way flights from El Salvador, Guatemala, or Honduras. I imagine with Mexico they don't have to do that because they're right there. I mean, it's much easier to get to the border. So the project is a joint venture between the Department of Homeland Security, or Satan, and the State Department, Satan, -2, I don't know. So Obama administration officials offered an overview of the new CAM initiative and confirmed that the U.S. has deployed staff to the region to handle the influx of applicants. The State Department official promoted CAM as a family reunification program that will completely be funded by the American taxpayers. It would have been nice if they could have taken a vote of not illegal aliens who they've grandfathered in, because we know how they would vote most likely. But, of course, a lot of them don't want them either because they're like, hey, they don't like the competition. I've heard that as well. Why would they want more illegal aliens? That's what they were trying to get away from. They like it, hey, I kind of got this all to myself, or I don't have a lot of... But the more illegal aliens that come in, the more competition is for the other illegal aliens. And a lot of the illegal aliens don't like that. Bless their heart. I mean, what is this world coming to? When you've got this kind of competition of illegal aliens competing with other illegal aliens for free stuff that our government's giving out and that we get to foot the whole bill for with no vote, no nothing. Just because Obama is a total dictator and just rules by decree now, and the Obama administration does, and they can pretty much do whatever they want. So yeah, we get to fund all of this, and we don't get to complain about it or, I guess, have any kind of say-so at all regarding any of this. And the officials have claimed they have no idea what the costs will be either. So when you're frustrated about rising tax rates and things of this nature and the lack of jobs and all of this other stuff and all of the different ways this country is being diluted and destroyed and annihilated, this is just one more shining example of how our government is doing everything in its power to help this country and to get it back on its feet, and to get it hitting on all 8 cylinders, because they really do care about us and they love us so much that this is very, very important for them. And one other way they're showing us how much they do love us. So, and another thing that they're really doing to show us how much they love us, and I'm going to get into this next week, but I'm just going to mention this. This is a little preview for one of the reports that I'm going to be covering next week, and it's entitled "Red Flags Everywhere as the New World Order Prepares to Kill 240 plus million Americans just in the next 10 years alone." Yeah, only 240. So this was the statistics by Deagle.com, who got their information from the United States Coast Guard, the Department of Defense, the United States government, the United States Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, and Navy, and also other sources were U.S. Department of Defense, Department of State, CIA, World Bank, and European Union. And they have predicted that by the year 2025, we will drop from a population of 316 million in America to 69 million in less than 10 years. And they give no explanation for why. But this is United States of America stats, projected stats for 2025. I mean, only 316 million to 69 million? I mean, what's not to like about that? I mean, what's wrong there? I don't really see any problem there. Do you all see a problem with that? I wonder how that's going to happen. I wonder what horrific things are awaiting us in the next 10 years in this country. I don't know. I mean, call me crazy, call me wacky, but that might alarm some people. I mean, if you think about it, it might alarm a few people. It's only 240 plus million Americans gone in less than 10 years. So I'm going to get into that more next week. That's a little preview there. So let's go further. Let's make something very clear. There absolutely are coming for your guns. And this guy wrote this in such a way where it was almost very insulting. Like, I try not to hopefully present these audios like I'm insulting my audience, like I'm mad at them and I'm insulting them. I realize if I have a listener that's listening to me on a weekly basis, they're somebody that's typically in the know, and they're typically at a much higher comprehension and intelligence level than a lot of the lukewarm, frozen chosen sheeple people that populate corporate 501c3 churchdom in America and elsewhere around the world. Okay, I don't mean that to say that that we're elitist, we're better. I'm just saying, let's face it. I mean, most people are under the strong delusion that 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 talks about, because they have no true love for the truth. And they're being turned over to strong delusion that they will believe a lie, that they might all be damned to receive not the love of the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Unfortunately, that's the norm, okay? And I wish it wasn't that way, and it's a big reason this ministry exists, to get people out of that stupor that they're in. But this report starts out by saying, ever taken depression medications, well, then you get no guns. Veterans with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, well, then you get no guns. Your children tell the pediatrician you have guns, well, then they're gone. This first part, is not written by Michael Connolly. If you don't know who Michael Connolly is, he is a constitutional attorney, a real one, not the Obama variety, and a United States Army veteran. And on his website, he writes, in other words, the first comments weren't his, but they were the guy writing this report. This is from Michael Connolly. He says, I'm a U.S. Army veteran, a constitutional attorney, an executive director of the United States Justice Foundation, and a published author, freelance writer, and teacher. In 2013, Michael Connolly was even nice enough to save Congress the laborious effort of drafting articles of impeachment themselves when he wrote and distributed them to Congress. U.S. Congress resolution impeaching Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, I like the guy already. President of the United States for high crimes and misdemeanors. August 20th, 2013. This guy's very fortunate to be alive, doing something this bold. But we all know the backbone of the GOP showed for that one. Obviously, nothing happened because they're just devils, part of the same system. For every person busy mumbling under their breath, they'll have to take my guns from my cold dead fingers. Don't you worry, there are active commanders in our military just waiting to pry them from your cold dead fingers. Now you have to understand, he's writing this in such a way where I really wouldn't come at it from this angle, because I'm not gonna begrudge somebody if they say something like that. In other words, defending in defense of their family, that type of thing. This guy is from an unsaved standpoint, coming at it like, okay, let's not do the pry the hands from the guns from my hands and the cold dead fingers. Let's figure something out here to try to legislatively go after this, okay? Which I agree with, but I'm not going to demonize somebody for, saying something like that at the same time. Anyway, let's go further here. You'd be best to remember Obama has done a Stalin-like purge of the military. Now, he has done that, and I've reported on that many, many times. He has fired over 300 of the military's top officers he has had conflicts with, including admirals and generals. See the list here. There's a link here you can click on. And I've went over that many, many times. All of the high-level brass in the military that they've purged. This is not a game. This is not a theory. This is a past law. Now, this part is by this Michael Connolly, constitutional attorney. It's official. 2015 is the year that progressives will make an all-out push to quash the Second Amendment and disarm the American people. And I really agree with that, because I've never seen such aggression toward taking away our rights in every way, shape, and form. Any type of moral, God-given type of right that we have, they are after it. I mean, and so I have to agree with him when he says this. And really, the Second Amendment, though, as I've said many, many times, is the hinge. That is the one thing that they need to get our guns, because it always takes place in all of these mass murders that have happened from all of these different dictators, whether it's Stalin, Pol Pot, Hitler, you name it, in the last 100+ years, that they always took the guns before mass annihilation of the general populace. So if they can get the guns, it's game over for America, as far as any kind of, it'll be martial law, it'll be absolute, total 100% tyranny at the end of their gun barrel, and at the end of the gun barrels of the criminals, because that's the only people Satan wants to have guns, is the criminals and the criminal government. That's the bottom line. That's why this is such a big issue. Okay? Let's go further here. I've been reporting on my blog for the last several years about the groundwork that has been laid, including the escalating efforts to disarm our veterans and the ensuing issuing of illegal executive orders by Obama to limit gun rights, the movement to get individual states to pass and enforce unconstitutional limits on gun ownership, and the signing of the UN Small Arms Treaty. Now they're ready to make their move, and I predict it will consist of a number of assaults on the American people. In fact, some of them are already in the works. The DOJ, Department of Justice, is floating the claim that the UN Small Arms Treaty is now the law of the land. We've talked about this UN Small Arms Treaty. Is now the law of the land, despite the fact that it has never been submitted to the U.S. Senate for ratifications by a 2/3 vote, as required by the U.S. Constitution. This means that Obama plans to enforce the provisions of the treaty without ratification, which he has precedent for doing, and despite the fact that in 1957 the Supreme Court ruled that no treaty, even if signed by the President and ratified by the Senate, can override the protection of individual rights guaranteed to Americans in the Constitution. They don't care about the Constitution, So, do you think the fact is it's not constitutional, that will stop Obama? Obama's enforcement of the UN treaty will include prohibiting the importation of firearms or replacement parts from other countries in the U.S., and providing a list to the UN of all American gun owners. That's not totally satanically treasonous. I don't know what is. Also supplying the list to the UN of importers, exporters of guns. In order to legally facilitate this, Congress would have to repeal the ban on funding of a national gun registration. However, I believe Obama plans on doing this by another illegal and unconstitutional executive order. To continue the escalation of disarming U.S. veterans, the private medical records of veterans are being turned over illegally to the FBI so that they can be put on an NICS list of people who cannot legally purchase firearms because of mental illness, just because they're a veteran. However, mental illness of these veterans is based on minor PTSD, suffering from minor depression, or even letting their spouses pay family bills. That would qualify you to have your guns taken away. There's no adjudication of mental illness to the point of being a danger to themselves or others as required by law. Veterans are also being required to tell the VA if they own firearms, how they feel about the federal government, and or how the Obama administration, and in some cases forced to submit to a strip search to determine if they have any radical tattoos. These are veterans. So forced to submit to a strip search. No definition of what constitutes a radical tattoo is provided. And then he has here, hint, American flags are likely the most extreme form of radical. Probably would be. You know. They, in other words, any excuse whatsoever to strip you of your gun rights, especially if you're a veteran. So this goes on to say, don't forget the home raids authorized by Obamacare. They will surely be targeting veterans as well. See, this Obamacare is just pure evil. I mean, that's all it is. It's just part of this whole system to absolutely come in and strip you of your Second Amendment rights. And really, ultimately, all your rights. It's the excuse they'll use. Obama has, by an illegal and unconstitutional amendment to the Affordable Care Act, overridden the prohibition on doctors to question their patients about gun ownership. Obama has called on pediatricians to ask young children if their parents have a gun in their home. I mean, this is the absolute George Orwellian 1984 Big Brother state we're living in here. Obama has issued an executive order that is being enforced by HHS regulations that virtually sets aside the HIPP law that protects the privacy of medical records. Under these new regulations, if your records contain anything indicating you have ever been depressed or had PTSD or taken certain medications, your records will be turned over to the FBI and you will be put on the NICS list. This will apply to everyone, not just veterans. So any excuse they have whatsoever to take away your guns, they're going to do it. Okay? Obama also has the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms changing the definition of mental illness to provide that anyone can be declared mentally ill to the point of being a danger to themselves or others for any reason without an adjudication of any kind, and therefore can be prohibited from owning firearms. This is already happening in states like New York that have adopted similar laws and regulations. A citizen of New York has been declared mentally ill and has his gun seized because he was seeking treatment for insomnia. Has guns taken away because he couldn't go to sleep. So like I said, you volunteer any information to Satan, they're going to use it against you. They're going to use it against you. So you better view any kind of governmental, whatever you're dealing with, as Satan from now on. Understand, they are spies. I'm not saying everyone that works in every governmental job or whatever is evil. But they have been coached, they have been told, and this will be increasingly will be the way it is. It's going to be a absolute total narc, snitch, backstabbing state that we're moving into. Okay? And, I don't know what else to say. Because I keep seeing this over and over and over again, this recurring theme of this nanny state, this Big Brother Orwellian watching every single thing you're doing state, and how all of the data mining they're doing, and how the new TVs can watch you, and literally there's warnings on the TVs that saying that they're monitoring everything that you're doing while you're watching. And then the way that they've got the cars now are going to be more and more set up to be monitoring you and to literally monitoring your speed, and how that if you, I've heard it would get so bad that if you're driving some of these, the newer cars, where if you're going over the speed limit or whatever, and since they're tracking you everywhere, they can literally, increase your insurance rates, or take away your driver's license. I mean, they're going to be using any excuse at all. So, you know, the less of a target you make yourself, the better. The more low-key you are in this big brother Orwellian devil world, the better, you know, I think the more time you'll end up having. I mean, if you've got all the stuff that most people, you know, have in this new appliances and new smartphones and new vehicles and all of that stuff, and you got a smart meter on the outside of your house, and I mean, you've just given them so much of what they already. It's like you're gold plating it for them. You're custom wrapping it in a package and giving it to them. And I'm always of the opinion you resist evil wherever you see it. You don't make Satan's job easy to do what he's doing. You resist evil. Okay? The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Okay? Well, if we're to hate evil, are we to resist it as well? Or are we just to go along with it? I mean, we can hate it, but we're just to go along with it. No, I believe we are supposed to resist evil. We are supposed to reprove the unfruitful works of darkness and to have no fellowship with them, as the Bible says. Reprove to make manifest, to shed light on them, you know. And so, to me, going against this is just doing your biblical duty to resist and to fight evil. And this is everything I'm talking about is pure evil. These are people that want to see you dead, particularly at the top of the food chain. They want to see a world population reduction to 500 million, according to the Georgia Guidestones. Hey, did you see the new video the other day where the guy put the drone, he was flying around on top of the Georgia Guidestones, and there was all this blood on the top of the square up there. And he was pointing out, and it looked like there was a little thing where the blood was going into, like a little area where, I mean, maybe they had, I don't know, I mean, hey, if they've spent hundreds of thousands or whatever it cost to put those things up, it looked like the blood was flowing to one area, and it was on the same stone that they had put that block in there, and then they had taken it out, the recent story that I had reported not too long ago, and it looked like there's a little pipe there to catch the blood. And it was all flowing to that one point. He didn't really get into that in the video, but that's kind of what I'm like. I'm wondering where that blood ends up and how that blood got there. And the guy said, he made a good point. He said, if somebody's trying to vandalize it, this is like 20 feet or something off the ground, or however much. You can't, I mean, if you threw, like, let's say you had a cup of blood and you try to throw it up there, get all over everything. This was literally just contained on the top of the slab. Okay, so, I don't know. But the Georgia Guidestones, the 10 Commandments of the New World Order written on them, and the first commandment is to reduce world population to 500 million. You know, in perpetual balance with nature. It's always about Mother Gaia. Well, if you're looking at over 7 billion, and then we got to get to 500 million, is what they're saying. Okay, well, you're looking at over a 90% reduction in world population. And then it's kind of funny then, this Deagle.com just comes out with all of these governmental cited sources for how they're getting their information. And they're saying that we're going to have a 240 plus million reduction by the year 2025. Hey, we're already a third of the way into 2015. So that's less than 10 years, essentially. Okay? About, you know, just say 10 years for argument's sake. To get for 240 plus million people to die with no reason given. I'm telling you, what they want to try to accomplish, they will try to do all of this in the next 10 years. It's very, very, very obvious what they're... And now, I'm not saying that means we got 9 years until this starts kicking in. They're getting more aggressive this year than I've ever seen them. And they could really, really start the ball rolling with whatever they're going to try by this year. And again, a big reason that we do these is for things to pray about. Prayer list. I don't think there's just probably a very, very small fraction of Christians that know about these wicked, evil devices of Satan to even pray about them. They're not getting this type of information or this type of education in a 501c3 corporate church that's yoked up with the literal government that gave them the right to exist, and the IRS. Okay, they're yoked up with the same wicked system. They're going to be used mightily by the clergy response teams through FEMA and Homeland Security to literally bring about the 100% destruction of their church congregants, of their parishioners, of the people that go to their churches. You talk about massive backstabbing that is coming from this corporate 501c3 church. I mean, it's going to be backstabbing on a level that you can't even comprehend of what these pastors are getting ready to do to their congregants, how they're getting ready to turn them over, and how they think that they're obeying Romans 13, and that it's all, we're good, me and God are good because I'm obeying Romans 13, because evidently that's the only thing in the Bible that matters, even though they're totally twisting Romans 13 and its interpretation. Well, because they're cowards and they're greedy. And I'm not saying all of them are, but the love of money is the root of all evil. And that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of God. If you're really out there putting out truth, you're not going to be liked of men. You know, life's not a popularity contest as a Christian. But, you know, that's a whole other subject I've addressed on many occasions. So, let me see how we're doing on time here. All right, so Obama also has the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms changing the definition of mental illness to provide that anyone can be declared mentally ill to the point of being a danger to themselves or others for any reason without an adjudication of any kind, and therefore can be prohibited from owning firearms. So again, just an open-ended total definition. They can do whatever they want. This is already happening in states like New York that have adopted similar laws and regulations. Again, the guy that got his guns taken away because he was seeking treatment for insomnia. And yet it's so funny because, you know, I don't have a TV, but if you even, all of the times that I'm even around one, it's all of these drug commercials. You know, and there's these little cartoons. Oh, he's so cute. Look at the cartoon. You know, and he's Mr. Bladder guy, and he's roaming around, and in the background the guy's saying side effects include death. You know, all of these horrific side effects, cancer. You know, and in this real nice simpering NPR voice type of deal. You know, gout, gangrene, oligodendrocytoma, the rarest form of brain cancer, and they're going through all of these things, and in the foreground you see the little puffy bladder guy. He's a little cartoon guy. He's running around all happy because he's got his drug now and he can function properly or whatever. And those very drugs that you're going to get on are going to if you have any type of pro-Second Amendment, any type of Christian whatever, they're going to be the very reasons that they can come in and take your guns. So of course they want to get everybody on pharmakia. Now I'm not saying every single drug has a demonic component. Maybe it does. But I know the root word for pharmacy, for sorcery, in the Bible, in the King James Bible, is pharmakia, and that's where we get the root word for pharmacy and, you know, pharmaceuticals and that type of stuff. So, you know, it's just insane. In the meantime, we have a Republican senator casting the deciding vote to confirm Obama's appointment of a Surgeon General who believes that gun ownership constitutes a health threat. Now, again, Obama has purged all of these high-level military guys, generals and admirals and colonels and captains and just anybody in high-level position to try to pre-position the guys that they want in those positions that will take the orders when given the orders to shoot on the American populace, to detain the American populace, to go after the gun owners. That's who he's trying to pre-position, you know, in these positions of high power. And then in all of the other political positions, or in this particular case, Surgeon General, he's also been pre-positioned his satanic troops so that they're going to go along with every single thing that they're told. So it goes on to say we have the EPA moving to control the manufacture of ammunition because it claims that the use of lead in ammo produces a threat to the environment. Mother Gaia may be grieved, and grieved heavily. So the Department of Justice will continue its campaign to force banks to deny the loans and even bank accounts to firearm dealers, and will continue to harass them in other ways to force them out of business. Remember, those were all in Michael Connolly's report, which was this constitutional attorney, a widely respected constitutional attorney. The links are all from stories I reported on in some years ago, but many said that it will never happen. Do you think it's just a coincidence Eric Holder's new Gestapo for targeting domestic terrorists, aka the Tea Party, is being formed now? We have to get Obama out of office and pronto. Many federal agencies are now fully armed as well. And these are links to different reports on this thing. Here's one link. Obama decimating the military while arming federal agencies. Another one. Department of Agriculture loads up on body armor. Department of Agriculture, okay? U.S. Post Office was announcing a giant ammo purchase. It's always good when the postman is armed to the teeth. You know, I mean, I think they should carry grenades. I don't know. I mean, what, bazookas? What's wrong with a bazooka? Your postman, you know, whatever. You got some overdue postage. He's got a little incentive plan for you. A bazooka, a grenade. Come on. And then the IRS gets their own SWAT team. I mean, why shouldn't Satan have their own SWAT team? Come on. What's this world coming to when Satan can't have his own SWAT team? It's just not fair. So then the EPA gets their own SWAT team as well. These are all different links. Social Security Administration gets their own SWAT team. I mean, I think Social Security should have their own SWAT team. Come on. And Department of Education, stockpiling firearms and ammo. And why not? Food and Drug Administration buys night vision and submachine guns for all those pesky people that don't want to go along with all the new draconian GMO stuff. And then DHS, most recent purchase, 6 billion hollow point bullets. Hollow point bullets you can't use in the theaters of war. Like if we're going to go overseas, we can't use hollow points. But they can use them on us, though, because we're special. They can use all hollow bullets all day long on the U.S. populace. But you can't use them against our enemies in war, though. But the U.S. populace, well, of course you can. We're the real enemies. We're the real, you know, seed of Satan, according to them. I mean, can you imagine how evil and how darkened and how deluded these devils must be, and how so much seared with a hot iron their conscience must be to be able to justify these things? These are nothing more than vessels of Satan, fitted, meaning prepared ahead of time for God's destruction. You know, the wicked go astray from the womb; they speak lies as soon as they be born. They would kind of be qualified under those types of Bible verses. Then he has this. He says, please read the following 2 articles. How will you respond if they come for your guns? And then, if they come for my guns, do I have a responsibility to fight? Now, I've also done a teaching on this called Biblical Resistance to Tyranny. If you just key in, I think, resistance or tyranny, I get into all the biblical verses about this regarding this particular subject. And it's just not me, it's a lot of other preachers and other sermons that have been done on this subject. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not telling anybody to go out and start blowing people away at all. I'm talking about biblical resistance to tyranny. I'm talking about protecting the innocent. Okay? Whether that's your family and your wife or, you know, other people's children and why. I mean, we are called to protect the innocent, especially as men, okay? And curling up in a fetal position and turning into a quivering bowl of Jell-O is not really that. You know, I mean, I'm funny that way, but, you know, I just don't think that qualifies. Call me crazy. So, then there's another link. It is happening here, permanent gun confiscations. It's another link that you can click on there. I just don't have time to get into everything today. Now, let me see if I can finish this next part. Yeah. Okay, so then the next report, Oath Keepers forming militia cells to prepare for triggered collapse. If, or rather when, Obama goes off the reservation, it's going to be the DHS versus the American people. Well, I think it's going to be a whole lot more than just the DHS, but And our last line of defense will be the police and sheriffs who have sworn that they actually meant it when they made their oaths to defend the Constitution. Well, again, I really believe that a whole lot of the police and sheriff, particularly city police, and that have already went off, are already controlled. Now, I know that there's exceptions to that, okay? But yes, in an ideal world, it would be particularly the sheriffs that should be the ones really trying to step up to the plate there. Right now, the Oath Keepers are working hard to provide a framework to resist should Obama go off the deep end or further. And this is a report, and it says 386,000 foreign troops now on U.S. soil. Obama issuing martial law soon. Now, again, I've talked a lot about the Russian troops and the Chinese and the foreign troops and all the joint exercises they've had in America. And then you got the Jade Helm thing coming up here. And so there's a lot of that that they've done and that is on the horizon. So there's a link here if you want to click on that regarding that. There's another link here, How to Survive Martial Law, Detailed Guide. Another link, What are FEMA camps and why should I be worried? Another link, FEMA concentration camps, locations, and corresponding executive orders. If this is all new to you, here's the information so you can understand that I'm not just making this stuff up. This is stuff I've covered over and over and over again. So I'm not going to go into all of this over. Now, after President Obama's re-election in 2012, residents from every state petitioned for secession, with the movement garnering significant traction in at least 7 states. And a growing number of whistleblowers have risked their own freedom, most notably Edward Snowden, to expose government abuses. But America may be on the verge of a new threshold with the latest move from the Oath Keepers. Militia groups have been around in the United States since its beginning. It's part of the founding, documentation of the government. Okay, so like basically the main part of the Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, so it's the main part of the Second Amendment there. So let's go further here. Okay, so again, militia groups have been around in the United States since its beginning. And really starting there with the Second Amendment, really establishing that on paper. However, the Oath Keepers, which is a group of current and former law enforcement and U.S. military personnel that seeks to disobey unconstitutional orders, is about to take it up a notch. According to U.S. News and World Report, the group is urging its 30,000 members to activate into small civilization preservation cells modeled on special operation units in the U.S. military. Leaders of the group contend the move is in preparation for a pending economic collapse, possibly to be caused by the devaluation of the U.S. dollar. And again, that is definitely one of the scenarios that we have talked about that could happen. If the U.S. does, in fact, collapse, these units will primarily train locals on how to provide their own security and lead them along the way. They will also draft and introduce militia bills, posse bills, and nullification bills, among other things, to support liberty. I don't know any other group that's doing this. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they're puritanical and wonderful, okay, but I'm just saying I don't really know anybody else that's doing this, and this is obviously part of the Second Amendment, and so I don't see anything bad about what they're doing. What they're trying to do is to go against and to disobey unconstitutional orders, and to show that to be the case, and to act as that first line or part of the first line of defense against the American or for the American populace, because obviously, Big Brother has different plans for the American populace. Only 240 million of us they want gone in the next, not even 10 years. The fact that this group, and they'll ensure that the sheriffs understand the Constitution and their duty to defend it. Most notably, the Oath Keepers urge members to assume that a collapse will be triggered this fall or winter. One can only hope they are wrong. This isn't some backwards clan of ragtag extremists. It's a 30,000 strong group led by a former U.S. Army paratrooper and law school graduate. Consider this is just another example of the rapidly declining faith in government and the so-called land of the free. And then there's other links here that you can click on. Now, we talked about Operation Jade Helm last week. Here's other links that would go with this report. Oath Keepers activated, preserve civilization, quote, preserve civilization teams forming. U.S. House candidate says militias are on high alert in response to Jade Helm. Now, again, I'm here to warn you. I'm here to kind of give you the big picture. I'm here to, kind of let you know, hopefully, what's potentially coming down. And I'm seeing a lot of this. I am getting reports from my listeners about, black helicopters flying over and jets flying over their houses and all kind of military stuff that they're seeing going on in their area. I'm seeing a lot of that elsewhere on the internet, on the Q alerts and elsewhere. I'm seeing a lot of people. And then this whole thing with the Jade Helm. Okay, they're trying to condition us. Not only are they training, but they're trying to condition the populace to accept this as normal when things go hot. And then there's also another report here called Operation Homeland Hawkeye, which is another grassroots type of, okay, let's get kind of boots on the ground and let's see what they're doing. This isn't like, these aren't groups that are trying to take any kind of aggressive stance. What they're trying to do is say, okay, what's going on? What kind of eyes can we get on all of these different military drills going on all over the United States, and let's get some documentation. Let's get a database here so that we can report to other people to give them a heads up of some impending problem or thing they may be facing. So that's all I have for the first part, and I'm going to end here, and we will go to part 2. God bless you.
Scott Johnson's 900-plus audio teachings and PDF documents are available for free 24/7 on the internet at contendingfortruth.com. That's CONTENDING for FOR truth TRUTH.com. In addition, we also offer a free Christian current event and health email newsletter. You can sign up at contendingfortruth.com. These email newsletters typically only generate about 3 to 6 emails per month if you subscribe to both lists. Please prayerfully help us to continue this work. For mail correspondence or to support this ministry, our mailing address is Scott Johnson, 3730 North, Highway 16, Suite number 211, Denver, North Carolina, 28037. Or on the internet, a PayPal donation link can be found at contendingfortruth.com. Thank you, and may the Lord Jesus Christ richly bless you.